Austin.
I'm AJ. So, Walter Gropius was born in 1883 in Berlin, Germany. Most notably, he is the founder of the Bauhaus movement, and one of his main accomplishments was earning an AIA gold medal in 1959 for his architecture. He's regarded as a pioneer of modernist architecture, and he spread it around the world mainly due to fleeing Germany during the rise of the Nazi Party and Hitler. And he fled to the U.S. from Germany and practiced until death in 1969.
Walter Gropius had two main styles, if you would. He was a modern architect as well as he believed in international style. He believed that functionality is the most important aspect of design, and that, as AJ has mentioned, that he was the pioneer, one of the pioneers of modern architecture. Modernism and international are very similar styles. They are very rectilinear buildings, white facades, normally. And another one of Gropius's main, what he wanted to do was to bridge the gap between art and industry, and that's why the international style also went beyond architecture and dealt with furniture as well as art.
So, like I said before, Gropius is mainly known for his contributions to the Bauhaus movement and being a part founder of it. It's a physical school, or was a physical school in Germany, and it's kind of a three-pronged approach to design. It's a school of design, architecture, and applied arts. In its lifespan, it was located in three different areas where people could go and actually study this philosophy, and that was in the German cities of Weimar, Dessau, and Berlin. And like Austin was saying, modernism really played the biggest role into influencing the Bauhaus teachers and students. And in a time of political turmoil in Germany and Europe, it was an apolitical school that really sought to bring together function and design and present it in harmony to the people using a building. And overall, they wanted to create beautiful buildings that also worked well for all the people that use them. So one example of this is the Bauhaus building in Dessau. It was commissioned by the city as a place for people to learn the Bauhaus School of Architecture. And one of its most notable features, which we'll see in the next slide, is a overarching kind of glass facade that presents the interior workings of the building and the load-bearing elements as kind of beautiful elements of the building. So it takes the function and the kind of tools that the building uses to function and be useful, and it presents that as beautiful elements that people can appreciate. Also, the glazing extends around corners and kind of wraps the building, creating a transparent look, and it kind of lessens the impact that the building may have on someone who's looking at it. In addition, the building's wings are laid out strictly due to function and are very asymmetrical, but when you're using it, it makes sense. And because of that, there's no actual central viewpoint of the complex, and you have to use it to understand Gropius's intentions and kind of what he was going for in the building. So on the next slide, here's some two close-up images of the complex. On the left, you can see how the aesthetic of the wings is very asymmetrical, and it's determined strictly by function. And on the right, you can see one of the corners of the building, how the full glazing really hides the corner. There's no articulation of that actual corner, and it kind of makes the building feel smaller and kind of more sleek than it really is. The next example is Gropius's home in Lincoln, Massachusetts. He built this in the U.S. It was his first work in the U.S. after fleeing Germany, and he lived here while he taught at Harvard. It has a New England kind of style to it, but he still brings in his Bauhaus principles and kind of marries the two again to kind of marry them together into a nice looking home. One of the main features that we'll see in the next slide is the interior really framed the beauty of the outdoors surrounding the home, and it kind of brought the outside into the inside. And he focused on making the home very efficient and functional, like he taught in Germany. So in this view, you can see in the foreground the fieldstone kind of fence and the brick on the facade of the building kind of bring in that more traditional style found in America and New England. But also the rest of the coverings of the exterior are very modern, and the shape and form of the building is very modern, kind of bringing the two aesthetics together while creating something that's very efficient and useful. So this last example is Tel Aviv, also called the White City. It's not by Gropius, the last two were, but this one is by architects taught by him, and it kind of shows the international implications that the Bauhaus movement had. So the White City was a planned city of over 4,000 Bauhaus buildings. It's the largest collection of such in the world. And it was designed by German Jewish architects who studied under Gropius but fled around the same time he did due to the Nazi Party in Germany. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and what's interesting about this is that it shows how the Bauhaus principle can be kind of modified into whatever kind of aesthetic you want to better suit things like climate, site context, and things of that nature. So you can notice in this kind of aerial view, a lot of white was used, especially in Tel Aviv, because of the heat, to reflect heat. And in the first two examples, there were a lot of large sections of glazing to show the inner workings of the building. They reduced that, again, to eliminate heat gain and such. And they utilized that structural space left by the small openings to install balconies to catch breezes, for people to enjoy the outside, even though there wasn't as much glazing. So in this close-up view, you can see how you definitely tell it's a planned city, very radial plan. Obviously, they're trying to make it very functional and easy for people to navigate. And then you can see the white buildings with small kind of slivers of glazing, obviously for the reasons we mentioned before. And throwing it all together kind of creates this beautiful functional layout that really fulfills a lot of the things that the Bauhaus movement is going for.
So one of Walter Gropius's first buildings was the Vegas factory. It was a shoe last factory, which a shoe last is it makes a form so you can put a shoe around it and make a shoe. He was only 27 when he got the commission to design the building. It's an early piece of modern architecture. It has the appearance of almost that it's floating because you can't see the columns and there's large facades of glazing. It is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which also makes it a historic monument. It's located in Lower Saxony, Germany. MetLife building, this is just another one that it does kind of both and shows modern architecture. It was in 1960. It was designed as the Pan Am building. Large facades made up primarily of glazing and concrete. It has 9,000 precast concrete panels, and it's one of Gropius's last buildings that he designed. Like I said, it shows both the international and modern style. This also shows how he wanted to keep open space, so like the core of the building is obviously towards the center, and so then there's space around the outside, which gives a lot of use for the daylight from large facades of glazing. And you can see the facade, the glazing on this view. So the international style, it began in Western Europe. It moved its way here during a art show, art fair. It is considered to be the style that has no barriers because everywhere you go, it doesn't matter if the country has a different language, a different religion, there's some form of international style. It started with 6 architects, including Le Corbusier and Ludwig Miles van der Rohe, and Walter Gropius was one of them. You can see how the Bauhaus was one of the first buildings that started the international style. It was mostly used in the 1920s to 1930s, and then it slowly declined. It was the international exhibition. It was the Museum of Modern Art first architectural show, and had drawn around 33,000 people when it came to the United States. Another one of the international styles, like I said, it has a lot of open fluid space, so it's like basically big rectangular floors the whole way up, and it's just uniform. It's an early form of minimalism because there wasn't ornamentation. see the facades are very bland, mainly glass and concrete. Weightless, flat roofs, all things I said already.
And this building is?
This building is by Lake Corbusier, I'm pretty sure, right? No? I can't remember.
It's like Emmy's Vanderum.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry. And then Walter Gropius's influence, he's had a global influence. He also taught at Harvard, and he has over 4 books, and he was a practicing architect for over 50 years. The Bauhaus is one of his biggest influences that influenced the world of architecture altogether.
So to kind of wrap it all up, he was a very influential architect during his lifetime, but he also left a very important legacy on architecture as a whole. Some of his greatest accomplishments, he introduced modernist architecture to the U.S. and the rest of the world through his years, beginning with his design of his own home. And he also created and also inspired others to create multiple World Heritage sites, which can be appreciated by us, for years to come, and are examples of great architecture and great design. And above all, he pioneered a style of effective, functional, and practical architecture that people will be using, appreciating, and really marveling at for years to come. So thank you, and are there any questions?
I would like to know where that New England style, after spending my first 20-something years in New England, that does not look like New England aesthetic.
I'm
The
sure you're going to say
stone
about
wall doesn't really, because that was there before they, I would bet that was.
that. Yeah. It was more the materials used, not as much the actual design of the house.
You can stop that.